Hey guys, this is Katrina. I know it has been a hot minute since I have updated anybody on my progress, as well as let you guys know what's been going on in my life. So I just wanted to make a short video. I'll try to keep this as short as possible and condense everything down, what's happened over the last 4 years. But I don't know if I had mentioned in one of my last videos that we were moving from Louisiana to Michigan. That did happen in 2019. We bought a house here mid-July, August, and we had to update a whole bunch on it. And so instead of me trying to find a job immediately when we got here, we went into updating the house. We ended up tearing up all the carpet and putting in some floating floors, which we didn't realize that the floating floors with that much repetitive hand motion, I would develop trigger finger in my right hand. And so I ended up getting a trigger finger, and so it kind of delayed finishing up the house a little bit. I still pushed through it, got everything taken care of. That was around the end of 2019. And if you guys don't know what trigger finger is, it's just on this one finger for me, it started locking downward. I've never known anyone that's had it, nowhere in my genealogy or anybody hereditary that I know of has had it, but for some reason, I got this. And so my finger was pretty much kept on being locked down, and I'd have to manually unlock it. And so that really sucked. And then 2020 happened, which everybody knows the COVID started. And so that was really, for me, that was a really big bummer, because my idea was, when I started this path with medical billing and coding, was to be able to do it from home. So ideally, I wanted to get a remote job and be able to work from home and still be able to be with my cats and kittens and all that good stuff. But when COVID happened, a lot of the a lot of the hospitals and healthcare clinics had the medical coders start working from home. So a lot of those remote jobs got filled naturally with the veterans. And so when that happened, and the COVID's out there, I decided, hey, you know what? I'll hold off a little bit. I did right before COVID hit, in March is when it hit in 2020. I think it was in February of 2020, it's either January, February. I did get a job interview down in Toledo that I went to, and I had not purchased the new books. Dumb idea. You ever do a job interview, make sure you have the most updated books. They did have their own books there. The problem was a lot of my notes and all that was in my books. And so when I opened up their books and they had all these new codes and all that good stuff, I did end up having one question wrong on it. I can't remember, they wanted so many right and so many wrong. And I ended up having just one too many wrong on it. And so they ended up saying, yeah, maybe in 6 months you can reapply. So I was like, okay, I was really down and out about it. But I had told my husband, hey, at this point, what I'll probably do is at least go into a hospital, start working in office, at least to get that -A taken off, because I was still getting quite a number of phone calls from LinkedIn offering me positions. But as soon as they knew that the CPC-A was there, they didn't want to hire me. They said, if you can get the -A out or have 2 years of experience, we'll hire you without any problem. And I was like, well, awesome. But, you know, I didn't have that, and I need that job experience to do that. And so I had told my husband, I think it was right after the job interview, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go into an office and actually work in the office to get that -A removed and get that experience. Then COVID happened the next month. And so we pretty much just stayed on lockdown in our house. My daughter has asthma, so of course we're really trying not to get anything. And then finally I was able to get the surgery. About the mid to end of 2020, because of the fact that COVID pushed all the dates out on appointments, as if you guys all remember that. And so my appointment that was scheduled for my trigger finger surgery was pushed out. I think I got that finally in October. And so I did some PT, was really hoping to get a remote job coding and go with that point. But the trigger finger, the physical therapy after that was really kind of annoying, because my fingers are very flexible, and this finger here is not as flexible. That's actually really good now. My fingers normally go really far back, and so that finger typically hits everything, knocks things off. And so I did a lot of physical therapy trying to get that extra flexible back, and it just wasn't happening. And so fast forwarding about another year, because of the fact of the COVID and with just different health issues, me and my husband had decided I was just going to wait until kind of the COVID numbers dropped down to try to find a job. And then 2021, in October, I was helping my cat deliver some kittens, and I ended up herniating 2 discs in my lower back, as well as one in my thoracic area. And it is a bilateral, so it's on both sides, and it literally, I didn't know if I would be able to walk again. It was so painful. But now in October, we ended up seeing a couple spine specialists and having some injections put in, which did not help and whatnot. And then in January, my PCM explained to me that, well, Katrina, you have what's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, excuse me, it's EDS. And he explained that's why, kind of like with your finger, you're over hyperextended. So you're very, very hypermobile. And that's why with your finger, it's not going to ever get to where you want it to be, because your body already kind of flexes too much. And I was like, well, awesome. This isn't what I wanted to hear. But at that point, I've got weight limits that I have to be able to not hurt the back. One of those weight limits is where literally anything over, like, I would say really and truly like over a pound to like, because really carrying a can of like corn or peas gets my back hurting quite a bit. But I would say, even trying to pick up one of my smaller kittens, I can kind of do, but anything like 2-3 pounds, it's just not doing good. And so at that point, I realized trying to pick up and carry the ICD-10 book, it's really big and fat. I'm sorry. It's really heavy, as well as your PCS book and all those. And I was like, dude, how am I going to be able to get a job doing medical coding when I'm having these issues just holding my books and carrying them? So it's been a really big struggle, because I, did all of this education and learned and did all those exams, which is like, the CCS exam and the CPC exam and the stress and the loss of sleep and just studying for like, goodness, it felt like years and years. And all the money pretty much wasted on it, because I have kept my certifications up. I've got all my CEUs, and I've been doing that every single year, even though I haven't been able to use it. But it's like, wow, I'm not sure if I'll be able to use it, which I do know that a lot of the doctor's offices do offer electronic, with the digital age coming. But I really am a textile person. I love the books. I like to flip through the pages. I've been trying to do as much digitally as I can. It's just not, for me, it's really not the same. So at this point right now, I'm keeping my CEUs up, keeping my certifications. I've been paying my dues. But as of right now, I'm not really sure just yet if I will continuously pursue the job of getting a medical coding job really in a doctor's office or remotely. I do feel like if I'm able to get into the job and I have one of those carousel that has the books, that might be good. But as you guys all know from a lot of my updated videos, I had shoulder surgery done. When I was doing PT on my last shoulder surgery, I did rip my left shoulder, and I have frozen shoulder on my right shoulder, and it's re-ripped. And so neither one of my shoulders are good. With the EDS, it has made it to where my body is just over flexible. It's a connective tissue disorder. And unfortunately, because of that, it's going to make it to where I can't overdo anything now. I have to wear a belt on a little bit lower than my hip bones just to be able to walk across my house. And even with the small amount of crafting that I do, it's really and truly like changed a whole lot of my life at this point. And so unfortunately, due to the health of that, I can't sit for long periods of time, more than 45 minutes to an hour. It's very, very painful on my back, so I have to constantly stand up. We did in the last, I think it was in September, we did try to go to a movie with my daughter. I think I was watching Barbie in the theaters, and that was very, very hectic because my back hurt so bad. But, sitting for long periods of time or even standing up, there's some days that are better than others. Sometimes I have to use a cane. Some days I have to use a walker. There's been a few times about a month ago that I went to wash my hands, and washing the hands, I just turned literally just a little bit to grab the paper towels, and somehow with that turn, it had a nerve back there, and I was like, oh my God, I just stood in the kitchen. It's like, I think I'd like really hurt my back. I didn't know if I'd overdone it or whatnot. And so at that point I was like, wow, this really truly sucks. But I mean, that day made it to where I seriously thought that I had like 7 months of progress flushed down the toilet, because I couldn't hardly walk at that point. My husband grabbed the walker and helped me sit back to the chair. I could hardly lift my legs up. And I mean, it's a scary feeling when you can't lift your legs, and the tingling and the pain is so bad going down your legs and radiating down to your feet, and your feet's tingling. You know, it's just not a fun time. But at the same time, I'm also having where I'm popping my left shoulder out of joint now. We're not sure if I'm just dislocating it constantly and I'm popping it back in, but I can't lift up off of any kind of chair with edges. So like my office chair that had, you know, hand rest, I can't use those because pushing up off of those normally pops my left shoulder. And I'm like, dude, like literally in the last, like, goodness, like 3 years, I have progressively just started going downhill really bad on my health. And so at this point, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with my certificates. I do feel really bad because of the fact that I enjoy doing that. I'm hoping and praying maybe in the next couple of years, my back will get a little bit better. And when I realize that I can sit for an extended period of time as well as stand for an extended period of time, that maybe hopefully I'll be able to do an 8-hour shift of going through medical records and being able to do that coding. In the same response, on the same sentence, typing has become an issue. The finger elements of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, I used to always do the witch's fingers when I was a kid. Well, the problem is now they get stuck like this, and I can't unbend them. So I have to use finger splints. So typing a whole bunch, and I found that out because when we bought this house, we also bought a place across the street, and we rented out the apartment, and I had to rewrite the lease up because here in Michigan, it's a whole new lease, legal laws and all that. So I was writing that up. And I probably typed for a good hour and 10 minutes just doing that. And my fingers started having really bad issues. I was like, what is this? Like, literally everything seems to be going downhill. So now if I want to play my games or do any kind of graphic design or anything, I have to wear the finger splints on my fingers. And so it's like, well, you know, I know everything happens for a reason. And so at this point, I am going to keep my CEUs up. I do have quite a number of websites that I go to get my CEUs up for as economically, I mean, CEUs aren't going to be cheap. I know that your renewals of your certifications are quite expensive, but you have to have those CEUs, so I try to do it as economical as possible. But I am wanting to keep those. I'll probably keep those at least for the next 3 or 4 years until I kind of take it in and kind of accept the fact that maybe I just can't do that. Unfortunately, health is not one of those things when it's affecting you as much as it is me. You know, and I had things previous, you know, that was affecting it. It just, everything keeps on adding up. And my husband's really positive, and he's probably one of my biggest advocates because he would constantly tell me, hey, Katrina, you are overdoing it. Hey, you can't do that anymore. You are no longer able to do that. Like, I have to cease. I have to slow down. I have to like change my lifestyle now. One thing though, on a positive note, right before I end this, I know it's kind of lengthy, I apologize. I am going to be looking into another revenue of income. Of course, I still do my cat breeding, but I am looking at doing notary from the house. And so I did get my public notary, and I am going to try to do loan agent signing for notaries. As a notary, excuse me, just to, it's pretty much where when you refinance or you get a home and they have to notarize the documentation, that's what I would be doing. And a lot of those will allow you to do it remotely from your home. So it won't require heavy books. It's not going to require too much movement. It's not like a mobile notary to where they're going to go out to the place, because sometimes some days are better than others. If me and my husband even decide to go grocery shopping, I typically cannot do a full grocery shopping list. We do a curbside. I have to make sure I've taken some painkillers. I've got my brace on. and we try to get me up to the door as close as possible, and I'll walk the distance, and I try to do as much in there, but there's so many times that I'll twist a little bit and it's like, the pain is way bad. I'm just standing there in the middle of the store and I'm like, I can't move. And we try to find me a seat, which I don't know why Walmart doesn't have benches, but the Walmarts here do not have benches. So I know from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, there's so many hours, not really hours, excuse me, there's only so many steps that I have in my day, or so much standing that I can do in a day. So I have to use those wisely. So if we have anything planned for tomorrow, then I make sure today I try not to overdo it, because one thing overdoing it was literally tomorrow's ruined or changed. So I'm now looking at different revenues that I can do that will help me. And I did do physical therapy for the back, and I did it with specialists that actually supposedly specialize in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Unfortunately, halfway through that program, I was kicked out of it because I wasn't getting better. I was actually getting worse because the type of PT that they were having me do was making my knees and my shoulders hurt more. And so I was like trying to get either the knees or the shoulders not to be hurting so I can get the back going. The three of those things was just a constant, like, no matter what I was doing, trying to get the back, but the knees were starting to have issues, and then my shoulders were having issues because you have to press against the wall, and it was just like, this is really, really getting tough. But occupational therapy that I had to go through was amazing on the EDS side of things, because the fact that they did teach me, from the beginning to the end, you have to think the whole process through. So now that I have this medical issue, I'm now rethinking everything as well as my career, which really, truly sucks, because I really enjoyed the medical coding. I loved learning the anatomy and different things, and just being able to help people and be able to make their videos and show you guys how to do it and finding the codes and all that. But right now I'm not closing the door. I'm just putting it on the back shelf for a while, seeing if maybe in a few years I can go back and pick it up. Until then, I'm going to try the notary thing and see how I do with that for a while. And then if my back slowly does end up healing and I start getting better and I'm able to lift books up, or I'm able to get situated and be able to do what the job would require me to do, then I definitely will start looking again in that field. In the same response, I am also looking at moving out of the state. Michigan's cold. I don't like the cold. I have an inflammation tissue issue. So inflammation, the cold likes, when you have inflammation, you want cold on you. But when you have inflammation, the cold bothers you, okay? And so for me, I want to be closer to my family, which is in North Carolina. So I would probably be moving down south where the warmth is. But until then, I will go ahead and start my next journey into the notary, and I'll try to do some updates on how that's going and what I'm doing and all that good stuff. So that might be, if somebody else has a health issue that kind of stops you from where you're going, because I know, like I told one of my therapists, I said, there's all these wonderful videos of the people that have like skiing accidents, and they're like told that they're paralyzed from the waist down and they'll never walk again. And miraculously, they're able to push themselves and do that. And they're like, well, they don't have EDS. Yours isn't an accident. Yours is, your body is actually going against you. And I'm like, okay, that might be a difference. And that might be true. But for me, I try to think positively. My husband's like, no, you have to think realistically on this one. But I'm thinking positive. Maybe, somehow, I'll just move along and figure it out, and I'll be able to do it. If not, there's always reasons why things happen, always. So we might not be able to see it. He does, okay? So I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep my certifications up. I'm going to keep my CEUs up. I can post some of the websites that I've used to keep those CEUs with the continued education that we have to do to keep your certifications up, and renew those. I think it's every year that we have to do that, which they are getting really expensive. I've got it through AHEMA and AAPC, but I can definitely list those down below, or make a video showing you where I go on those. But anyway, till next time, the next video will probably be a possibility of just an update on the notary journey, and seeing how I do, and if I like that or not like that, or, depending on however that goes. But anyway, thank you so much for following me and subscribing. And thank you guys for just being there for me through the years and asking questions. I am sorry it has taken me quite a bit of time to kind of respond back to it with all the health issues that I've had. It's just, yeah, I need to get back on this track. So anyway, till next time, thanks for watching.